Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they stop too early. The cruelest truth about success is that it often hides behind one more difficult day, one more rejection, one more attempt, one more week of invisible progress. The tragedy is this: thousands of people walk away only moments before everything begins to change. This audiobook is about becoming the person who refuses to quit too soon. Because persistence is not what you do. Persistence is who you become. Chapter 1. Success usually looks like failure first. Most people never fail because they lack ability. They fail because they misread the early stages of success. They expect progress to look exciting. They expect hard work to produce immediate rewards. They expect the world to quickly confirm that they are moving in the right direction. But reality works differently. Success is deceptive. In the beginning, it often looks exactly like failure. You work. Nothing changes. You improve. No one notices. You sacrifice. The results remain invisible. That is the moment when most people quit. Not because they are incapable, because they misunderstand the process. You have a choice. You can believe your eyes, or you can believe the process. That's the key. Every meaningful achievement begins long before anyone can see it. A seed spends weeks underground before breaking through the surface. During those weeks, an impatient observer would say nothing is happening. They would be wrong. Growth is happening where no one can see it. Your life works the same way. Every disciplined decision changes you before it changes your circumstances. Every early morning, every completed workout, every page you read, every difficult conversation you refuse to avoid, every dollar you save, every skill you practice. They are all building something beneath the surface. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't growing. Repeat that to yourself. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't growing. Most people never stay long enough to discover what was quietly developing beneath their frustration. Instead, they chase immediate gratification, immediate praise, immediate money, immediate results. But immediate rewards usually belong to entertainment, not transformation. Transformation is slower. It is quieter. It is almost invisible. That is why so few people experience it. The gym teaches this lesson. Walk into a fitness center for the first week. You lift weights. You leave exhausted. You look in the mirror. Nothing. 1 week later. Still nothing. 2 weeks. Maybe a tiny difference that only you notice. Many people stop here. They decide exercise doesn't work. The truth? Their body has already begun adapting. Muscles are repairing. Strength is increasing. Habits are forming. The visible results simply haven't arrived yet. Invisible progress came first. Visible success followed later. Life keeps repeating this pattern. Learning a language feels impossible at first. Building a business feels hopeless. Writing a book feels endless. Saving money feels insignificant. Developing discipline feels exhausting. Every worthwhile pursuit begins with long periods where the reward is hidden. That's the test. Not whether you're capable, whether you're patient. It's not about talent. It's about endurance. You don't need their permission to continue. You don't need applause to keep improving. You don't need proof every day that you're winning. You only need today's commitment. That's the key. Now think about the people society calls overnight successes. The entrepreneur who suddenly sells a company for millions. The athlete who unexpectedly wins a championship. The author whose book becomes a bestseller. The musician who seems to appear from nowhere. People love saying they became successful overnight. What they rarely mention are the 10 years before the headlines, the failed businesses, the rejected proposals, the empty stadiums, the unpaid work, the mornings nobody celebrated, the nights filled with doubt. Success never arrived overnight. Visibility did. People only noticed after the difficult part was already finished. That is one of the greatest illusions you will ever face. You compare your beginning to someone else's breakthrough. You compare your first attempt to another person's 20th year. No wonder you feel behind. You're measuring two completely different stages. Stop doing that. Your journey has its own timeline. Respect it. Thomas Edison performed thousands of experiments before creating a practical light bulb. Most people remember the invention. Few remember the countless failures. Professional athletes spend decades practicing movements that spectators experience for only a few seconds during competition. Authors often receive dozens of rejection letters before one publisher finally says yes. Business owners may survive years of uncertainty before one opportunity changes everything. Persistence often looks foolish until it works. Read that again. Persistence often looks foolish until it works. From the outside, consistency appears unnecessary. People wonder why you keep trying, why you continue showing up, why you haven't quit yet. Let them wonder. They are watching today's effort. You're building tomorrow's life. You have a choice. Seek approval or seek progress. Only one creates lasting success. The other creates dependence, and dependence destroys persistence. Understand something important. The world rewards finished products. It rarely rewards unfinished effort. Nobody applauds the foundation while a skyscraper is still being built. Nobody celebrates chapter 3 of a book that isn't finished. Nobody admires a business that exists only as an idea. Recognition comes later. Construction comes first. That's why mature people stop chasing recognition. They chase improvement. Improvement eventually creates recognition anyway. But recognition alone never creates improvement. That difference changes everything. There will be mornings when nothing feels different. Work anyway. There will be weeks when results seem frozen. Continue anyway. There will be months when doubt becomes louder than confidence. Move anyway. You don't need certainty. You need consistency. It's not about feeling successful. It's about becoming successful. Those are not the same thing. Feelings change every day. Identity grows every day you refuse to quit. Every disciplined action casts a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you continue despite discouragement, you strengthen that identity. Not dramatically, quietly, steadily, powerfully. The strongest buildings are constructed one brick at a time. No single brick seems impressive. Together, they create something that survives storms. Your daily actions are those bricks. Protect them, repeat them, trust them. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't growing. That sentence should become part of your thinking. When progress feels invisible, when motivation disappears, when nobody notices, when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. Answer with those words. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't growing. Then keep going. Keep reading. Keep training. Keep practicing. Keep saving. Keep improving. Keep showing up. Keep building before anyone applauds. Because applause is never the beginning of success. It is the echo of years of invisible work. Never confuse today's silence with tomorrow's outcome. Never mistake slow progress for failure. Never abandon a process simply because it hasn't rewarded you yet. Success usually looks like failure first. Those who understand that stay. Those who don't leave. The difference between the two eventually becomes impossible to ignore. Chapter 2. Most people confuse slow progress with no progress. One of the greatest mistakes you will ever make is expecting life to reward you faster than life changes you. That expectation is responsible for more abandoned dreams than failure itself. People do not usually quit because the goal is impossible. They quit because the timeline is longer than they imagined. They believed discipline would immediately create confidence. They believed exercise would immediately transform their body. They believed learning a new skill would immediately create opportunity. They believed 1 month of effort deserved 1 year of results. Reality doesn't work that way. Reality rewards patience. It rewards repetition. It rewards people who continue long after excitement has disappeared. You have a choice. You can demand immediate evidence, or you can trust gradual improvement. That's the key. The greatest changes in your life rarely arrive in dramatic moments. They arrive so slowly that you almost fail to notice them. A child doesn't wake up one morning suddenly able to walk. They wobble, they fall, they crawl, they stand for a few seconds, they fall again. Then, one day, everyone calls them a walker. But the transformation happened through hundreds of invisible attempts. Success follows the same pattern. You become stronger before you look stronger. You become wiser before others recognize your wisdom. You become disciplined before your life reflects your discipline. Internal change always comes before external change. The problem is that most people are addicted to dramatic progress. They want explosive breakthroughs, life-changing weekends, miracle routines, 30-day transformations. They chase intensity because intensity feels productive. But intensity without consistency is temporary. 1 week of extraordinary effort cannot replace 1 year of ordinary discipline. Read that again. 1 week of extraordinary effort cannot replace 1 year of ordinary discipline. Slow is not stuck. Repeat it. Slow is not stuck. The fact that progress is gradual does not mean progress has stopped. A river cuts through solid rock, not because it is powerful for 1 day, because it remains persistent for thousands of days. The same principle governs your life. Small actions repeated consistently become unstoppable. Consider how a tree grows. When someone plants a seed, they don't expect a towering oak by the end of the month. They water it, protect it, wait. The first signs of growth are almost impossible to notice. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass. Yet beneath the soil, roots are spreading in every direction. Those roots are invisible, but they are preparing the tree for a future that the eye cannot yet see. Imagine if someone dug up the seed every week just to check whether it was growing. They would destroy the very process they hoped to accelerate. Many people do exactly that with their own lives. They constantly interrupt their progress by questioning it. Is this working? Should I quit? Should I start something else? Maybe I'm wasting my time. Every doubt tempts them to abandon the roots before the tree has a chance to grow. You don't need perfect certainty. You need patience. That's the key. Building muscle teaches the same lesson. The first workout feels difficult. The 10th workout feels slightly easier. The 100th workout creates a completely different body. No single workout deserves the credit. The transformation belongs to all of them. Every repetition matters. Every disciplined day matters. Every ordinary decision matters. It is never one heroic effort. It is thousands of ordinary ones. The same applies to reading. Imagine reading 10 pages every day. 10 pages seem insignificant. You might even feel guilty for reading so little. But after 1 month, you've read roughly 300 pages. After 1 year, You've read more than 3,000 pages. You've absorbed dozens of books. Your thinking has changed. Your vocabulary has expanded. Your decisions have improved. Not because of one extraordinary reading session, because of hundreds of ordinary ones. Success belongs to people who stay long enough to experience compounding. Most people leave just before the compound effect becomes visible. That is the tragedy. Compounding is one of the quietest forces in the world. At first, it appears almost meaningless. The improvements are tiny, almost disappointing. But eventually, those tiny improvements begin stacking upon one another. One healthy meal leads to another. One completed workout creates momentum for the next. One saved dollar becomes 100. 100 becomes 1,000. One conversation improves your confidence. Improved confidence creates new opportunities. Those opportunities create new skills. Those skills produce better results. Everything builds upon what came before. The people who appear lucky are often simply the people who refused to interrupt the compound effect. They stayed. Others restarted. Every time you quit, you reset momentum. Every time you remain consistent, momentum grows stronger. That's why discipline is so valuable. It protects accumulation. It protects progress. It protects the future version of yourself. You have a choice. Restart over and over again, or continue building. That's the key. Now consider one of the fastest ways to destroy your motivation. Comparison. You open social media. Someone your age seems wealthier. Someone younger seems more successful. Someone else appears happier. Immediately, your own progress feels insignificant. But comparison is built on incomplete information. You see someone's highlight. You compare it to your daily reality. You compare your beginning to another person's middle. You compare your private struggles to someone else's public victories. It is an unfair contest. Stop playing it. The only comparison that produces growth is this. Who were you yesterday? Did you learn something today that yesterday's version of you did not know? Did you remain calm in a situation that once controlled your emotions? Did you keep a promise to yourself that you previously would have broken? Did you become 1% better? If the answer is yes, then you are winning. Not loudly, not publicly, but genuinely. Small victories deserve respect. Most people dismiss them because they seem ordinary. Waking up when the alarm rings. Reading instead of scrolling. Saving money instead of spending it. Finishing today's work instead of postponing it. Choosing patience instead of anger. These moments rarely attract attention, but they quietly reshape your identity. Identity is not built during extraordinary moments. It is built during ordinary decisions repeated consistently. Every small victory tells your brain something powerful. I am becoming someone who follows through. That belief changes everything, because once you believe you're disciplined, your actions begin aligning with that identity. Your habits become easier. Your confidence becomes quieter. Your resilience becomes stronger. Not because life became easier, because you became stronger. Consistency beats intensity. Repeat it. Consistency beats intensity. Again. Consistency beats intensity. One perfect day cannot transform your life. 1,000 steady days can. That is why you must stop chasing dramatic change. Stop looking for the emotional high that comes from starting something new. Instead, learn to appreciate the quiet satisfaction of continuing. There is tremendous power in becoming someone who simply refuses to stop. Not because every day feels exciting, but because every day matters. Never underestimate the value of one disciplined decision. One decision becomes one habit. One habit becomes one lifestyle. One lifestyle becomes one destiny. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives, not through sudden breakthroughs, through gradual accumulation. Slow is not stuck. It is often the exact speed that lasting success requires. Remember that the next time you feel discouraged. Remember it when progress seems invisible. Remember it when the results arrive later than you hoped. Trust the process. Trust the repetition. Trust the compound effect. Most importantly, trust the person you are becoming, because every disciplined day places another brick beneath your future. You may not notice the building today, but one day you will look back and realize that every ordinary decision was constructing an extraordinary life. Chapter 3. Your feelings are terrible advisors. One of the most dangerous lies you will ever believe is this: "I'll do it when I feel like it." That single sentence has destroyed more dreams than lack of intelligence, lack of opportunity, or lack of talent ever could. Because feelings are unstable. They change with your sleep. They change with the weather. They change after one difficult conversation. They change after one disappointing result. They change after one bad day. If your actions depend on your emotions, then your future depends on something that changes by the hour. That is not a strategy. That is surrender. You have a choice. You can let your emotions lead your life, or you can let your principles lead your life. That's the key. Motivation is real, but motivation is temporary. Everyone feels motivated at the beginning, the first day in the gym, the first chapter of a new book, the first week of a business, the first morning of a new routine. Everything feels exciting because the future is still imaginary. Then reality arrives. The workouts become repetitive. The business becomes stressful. The routine becomes ordinary. The excitement fades. This is where two kinds of people separate. The first group believes something is wrong. "I'm not motivated anymore. Maybe this isn't for me. I've lost my passion." The second group understands something far more powerful. Motivation was never supposed to last. Discipline was. Read that again. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you moving. The people who build extraordinary lives are not permanently inspired. They simply stop expecting inspiration to carry them forever. They wake up tired. They work anyway. They feel uncertain. They continue anyway. They experience setbacks. They adjust instead of quitting. That difference changes everything. Do not obey temporary emotions. Repeat it. Do not obey temporary emotions. Again, do not obey temporary emotions. Every emotion is temporary. Every single one. Excitement fades. Fear fades. Anger fades. Disappointment fades. Confidence fades. Even happiness rises and falls. If emotions are temporary, why would you allow them to make permanent decisions? Think about how many lives have been changed by decisions made during one emotional evening. Someone quits a job after one frustrating meeting. Someone ends a valuable relationship during one heated argument. Someone abandons years of progress after one disappointing week. Someone gives up on a dream because of one difficult month. The emotion eventually disappears. The consequences remain. That is why emotional discipline matters. Not because emotions are bad, because emotions are unreliable leaders. Your emotions provide information. They should not provide direction. There is an important difference. Fear may tell you something feels uncertain. It should not tell you to stop growing. Frustration may tell you something is difficult. It should not convince you that difficulty equals impossibility. Disappointment may tell you your expectations were too high. It should not erase your commitment. Feelings speak loudly. Wisdom speaks quietly. Learn which voice deserves your attention. Frustration is especially dangerous. Not because it hurts, because it lies. Frustration whispers that all your effort has been wasted. It convinces you that today's struggle represents tomorrow's future. It exaggerates every obstacle. It minimizes every accomplishment. It tells you that quitting is reasonable, logical, necessary. But frustration almost always tells a story that isn't true. Imagine climbing a mountain covered by thick clouds. Halfway up, you can't see the summit. You can't even tell if you're getting closer. Your legs ache. Your breathing becomes difficult. The emotional part of your brain immediately reaches one conclusion. This isn't working. But the mountain hasn't changed. Only your perception has. The summit still exists. You simply cannot see it. Life often feels exactly like that. The closer you get to meaningful growth, the heavier resistance becomes. Not because you're failing, because you're climbing. The emotional brain struggles to understand delayed rewards. It wants relief now, comfort now, results now. It hates uncertainty. It hates waiting. It hates discomfort. So it invents reasons to escape. This goal isn't worth it. You're wasting your time. Maybe someone else can do this, but not you. Those thoughts feel convincing because they arrive carrying emotion. But emotion is not evidence. Read that again. Emotion is not evidence. Just because something feels impossible does not mean it is impossible. Just because something feels hopeless does not mean hope is gone. Just because you feel like quitting does not mean quitting is the right decision. Discipline protects you from emotional mistakes. That is one of its greatest gifts. Discipline creates distance between feeling and action. Instead of reacting immediately, disciplined people pause. They ask better questions. What would my future self want me to do? What decision will I respect 1 year from now? What action matches my values instead of my mood? Those questions interrupt emotional impulses. They return control to the thinking mind. That's the key. Control is rarely lost all at once. It disappears one emotional reaction at a time. A harsh reply, a missed workout, an abandoned project, a broken promise. Each emotional decision strengthens the habit of emotional living. Each disciplined decision strengthens the habit of intentional living. Which habit are you building? You have a choice every single day. Now consider the difference between amateurs and professionals. An amateur works when inspired. A professional works because it is time to work. An amateur waits until conditions feel perfect. A professional begins with imperfect conditions. An amateur believes emotions determine performance. A professional understands that performance often creates better emotions. That principle applies everywhere. A writer doesn't wait to feel creative before writing. Writing creates creativity. An athlete doesn't wait to feel energetic before training. Training creates energy. A business owner doesn't wait to feel confident before making difficult decisions. Action creates confidence. Professionals trust action. Amateurs trust emotion. Who do you want to become? The answer is found in what you do on the days you don't feel like doing anything. Those days matter most. Anyone can remain disciplined when life feels easy. Anyone can stay committed when results arrive quickly. Anyone can feel motivated after success. Character is revealed when none of those conditions exist. When the alarm rings before sunrise, when your work goes unnoticed, when progress feels painfully slow, when nobody encourages you, when failure visits again. Those are the moments that shape your identity. Not because they're dramatic, because they're ordinary. Every ordinary decision teaches your mind who you are. If you constantly obey emotions, your identity becomes fragile. If you consistently honor commitments, your identity becomes dependable. Dependable people don't become dependable accidentally. They practice keeping promises to themselves, especially when they don't feel like it. Remember this: your commitment should be stronger than your mood. Your principles should be stronger than your fear. Your future should be more important than today's comfort. Feel less. Finish more. Repeat it. Feel less. Finish more. Again. Feel less. Finish more. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means refusing to become emotion-controlled. There is a difference. Healthy emotions enrich your life. Undisciplined emotions can quietly run it. You're not trying to eliminate feelings. You're learning to place them in their proper position. They may ride in the car. They are not allowed to hold the steering wheel. That responsibility belongs to your values, to your commitments, to the person you have decided to become. Every morning, you choose again. Every difficult afternoon, you choose again. Every frustrating evening, you choose again. Will you obey the temporary emotion, or will you honor the permanent commitment? Because one decision creates momentary comfort. The other creates lasting transformation. Never forget that feelings come and go like weather. Your character remains. Build your life on what remains, not on what changes every hour. Chapter 4. The hardest days usually come before the breakthrough. There is a moment that almost everyone misunderstands. It is the moment when everything feels hardest, when progress seems slow, when exhaustion replaces excitement, when doubt becomes louder than confidence. Most people see that moment as proof they should stop. The strongest people see it as a signal to keep going. That difference changes lives. You have a choice. You can interpret resistance as rejection, or you can interpret resistance as preparation. That's the key. Nature teaches this lesson over and over again. The sky is often darkest just before sunrise. Winter appears lifeless before spring arrives. A caterpillar must completely dissolve inside the cocoon before becoming a butterfly. The transformation is messy, uncomfortable, invisible, yet absolutely necessary. Life follows the same pattern. The greatest breakthroughs are often preceded by the greatest resistance. Not always, but often enough that you should never mistake difficulty for defeat. Pressure often means you're close. Repeat it. Pressure often means you're close. Again. Pressure often means you're close. Think about how many people quit one step before the finish line simply because the final stretch demanded more from them than the beginning ever did. When you first begin something new, enthusiasm carries you. Everything feels possible. You imagine the future. You picture the reward. But eventually, imagination is replaced by repetition. The work becomes ordinary. The progress slows. The obstacles multiply. This is where reality begins testing your commitment. Not your talent, your commitment. Anyone can chase a dream when the dream feels exciting. Few continue when the dream starts feeling heavy. That is why success belongs to so few people. Not because opportunities are rare, because endurance is. The mountain becomes steeper as you climb. Not because the mountain wants you to fail, because higher ground requires stronger legs. Life works exactly the same way. Greater responsibility requires greater patience. Greater success requires greater emotional control. Greater influence requires greater discipline. The higher you climb, the more life asks of you. It is preparing you to carry what you are asking to receive. Imagine someone who dreams of leading a company but cannot handle criticism. Imagine someone who wants financial freedom but cannot delay gratification. Imagine someone who wants influence but cannot control anger. Receiving success without developing character would only create bigger problems. That is why preparation always comes first. Difficulty is not punishment. Difficulty is training. Read that again. Difficulty is not punishment. Difficulty is training. Most people never learn this. Every setback feels personal. Every obstacle feels unfair. Every delay feels like evidence that life is against them. But what if life isn't working against you? What if it is working on you? That single shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of saying, "This is too hard," ask, "Who am I becoming because of this?" Those questions transform suffering into education. That's the key. History is filled with people who met repeated failure before achieving extraordinary success. Inventors built prototypes that never worked. Athletes lost competitions they believed they should have won. Writers filled notebooks that no publisher wanted. Entrepreneurs watched businesses collapse before finally building one that lasted. The world remembers their victories. It forgets the years spent becoming capable of those victories. Mastery is almost never immediate. It is earned. Every mistake teaches precision. Every rejection teaches resilience. Every disappointment teaches patience. Every obstacle teaches adaptability. Failure is not the opposite of mastery. Properly used, it is one of mastery's greatest teachers. Consider a blacksmith forging a sword. Steel is not made stronger by avoiding heat. It becomes stronger because it survives the fire. Again and again, the metal is heated, hammered, folded, struck repeatedly. Each blow appears destructive, yet every strike removes weakness. Every cycle increases strength. Without pressure, the blade remains fragile. Human character is forged in much the same way. Every difficult season removes something unnecessary. Excuses, pride, impatience, dependence on comfort. The person who enters adversity is rarely the same person who leaves it. If they choose growth, you have a choice. Become bitter or become better. Those two paths begin with the same hardship, but they end in completely different lives. The obstacle itself does not decide your future. Your response does. That's the key. Many people pray for confidence, then become discouraged when life gives them situations that require courage. Many people ask for patience, then become frustrated when life presents delays. Many people want resilience, then resent every challenge that could build it. They want the reward without the process, the outcome without the preparation, the strength without the resistance. But life does not separate those things. The process creates the person. The person creates the outcome. You cannot skip becoming. You cannot rush maturity. You cannot outsource character. It must be built, one difficult day at a time. Think back to the strongest people you know. Not the loudest, not the wealthiest, the strongest. Notice something about them. They rarely had easy lives. They endured loss, disappointment, failure, loneliness, uncertainty. Yet instead of allowing those experiences to break them, they allowed those experiences to shape them. They became calmer, wiser, more patient, less reactive, more grateful. Strength did not appear before hardship. Strength was born from hardship. That truth should encourage you, because if today feels difficult, it does not necessarily mean you are losing. It may mean you are growing in ways that only time will reveal. Pressure often means you're close. Not necessarily close to the finish, but close to becoming the person capable of reaching it. That matters even more. Never forget that success is temporary if character is weak. But strong character continues producing success long after individual victories disappear. This is why resistance should not surprise you. Expect it. Welcome it. Learn from it. Every meaningful goal attracts difficulty, not because the goal is wrong, because worthwhile pursuits demand worthwhile people. And becoming worthwhile requires discomfort. There are seasons in life when everything seems to move forward. There are also seasons when everything feels painfully slow. Do not judge your future by one difficult season. Farmers do not abandon their fields because winter arrives. They understand seasons. Winter prepares the soil. Spring begins growth. Summer strengthens it. Autumn reveals the harvest. Every season has a purpose. So does every season of your life. Your uncomfortable season is not permanent, but what you learn during it can remain permanent. Greatness is built inside uncomfortable seasons. Repeat it. Greatness is built inside uncomfortable seasons. Again. Greatness is built inside uncomfortable seasons. When you stop fearing discomfort, you remove one of the greatest obstacles to success. You stop asking, "How can I avoid hard things?" Instead, you ask, "How can I grow through hard things?" That is the mindset of builders, of leaders, of champions. They do not love suffering. They simply understand its value. Remember this when you wake up discouraged. Remember it after rejection. Remember it when progress feels invisible. Remember it when your emotions beg you to stop. Stay one more day. Repeat it. Stay one more day. Work one more hour. Practice one more repetition. Read one more page. Make one more attempt. Have one more difficult conversation. Keep one more promise to yourself. Most people never discover what was waiting on the other side because they leave too early. Do not become one of them. The breakthrough often belongs to the person who simply refused to walk away. Stay one more day, then another, then another. One day, you will look back and realize that the season you almost abandoned was the season that built everything you needed. Chapter 5. Stop looking for motivation. If you spend your life waiting to feel motivated, you will spend most of your life waiting. That is one of the hardest truths to accept. People love motivation because it feels powerful. A motivational speech gives you energy. A great book fills you with confidence. An inspiring video convinces you that anything is possible. For a moment, you feel unstoppable. Then life happens. Monday morning arrives. Your alarm rings before sunrise. You slept poorly. Your inbox is full. The weather is bad. Someone criticizes your work. Suddenly, yesterday's motivation has disappeared. Did your goal change? No. Did your potential disappear? No. Only your emotion changed. That is why motivation is such a dangerous foundation. It cannot carry the weight of a meaningful life. You have a choice. Build your future on emotion, or build it on structure. That's the key. Motivation is like the wind. Sometimes it pushes you forward. Sometimes it disappears completely. Sometimes it even blows against you. A wise sailor does not complain about the wind. He learns to build a better ship. Your habits are that ship. Your routines are that ship. Your systems are that ship. They keep moving even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Systems outlast emotions. Repeat it. Systems outlast emotions. Again. Systems outlast emotions. Think about brushing your teeth. Most mornings, you do not stand in front of the mirror asking yourself whether you feel inspired to do it. You simply do it. The decision was made long ago. The habit now carries the action. Imagine if every small responsibility required an emotional debate. Should I brush my teeth today? Should I go to work? Should I eat? Should I lock the front door? Life would become exhausting. Habits eliminate unnecessary decisions. That is why successful people rely on systems instead of feelings. They remove negotiation. They remove excuses. They remove unnecessary thinking. When something becomes part of your identity and your routine, it no longer depends on inspiration. It becomes automatic. That is freedom. Many people misunderstand discipline. They believe disciplined people constantly force themselves to act. The opposite is often true. Disciplined people make fewer decisions. They have already decided. The workout happens at 6 o'clock. Reading happens before bed. Saving money happens every payday. Planning happens every Sunday evening. There is nothing left to argue about. The calendar already answered the question. Imagine two people. The first wakes up every morning asking, "Do I feel like exercising today?" The second simply puts on running shoes because that is what happens every morning. Who uses less mental energy? Who misses fewer workouts? Who builds greater consistency? The answer is obvious. One depends on emotion. The other depends on routine. Routine wins. Every time. That's the key. One of the greatest enemies of progress is decision fatigue. Every decision consumes mental energy. What should I eat? When should I start? Should I go today or tomorrow? Should I work now or later? By the end of the day, your mind becomes tired. A tired mind almost always chooses comfort. Not because comfort is better, because comfort is easier. That is why routines matter so much. They remove unnecessary choices. You simply follow the next step. Professional athletes do not wake up each day inventing a new training plan. Pilots do not rely on memory before takeoff. Surgeons follow procedures. Musicians rehearse scales. Military units drill the same movements repeatedly. Not because they lack intelligence, because systems protect performance under pressure. When stress rises, people fall to the level of their systems, not to the level of their intentions. Read that again. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. That is why building a strong system is more important than making a bold promise. A promise creates excitement. A system creates results. Winners understand this. They automate productive behaviors. They prepare tomorrow's clothes tonight. They schedule important work before distractions appear. They remove unhealthy food from the house instead of relying on willpower. They place books where they can easily reach them. They silence unnecessary notifications. They shape their environment so the right action becomes the easiest action. This is wisdom. Stop expecting discipline to fight your environment every day. Design your environment to support your discipline. That's the key. If your phone is always in your hand, distraction becomes automatic. If healthy food is always available, better nutrition becomes easier. If your workout clothes are ready before you wake up, excuses lose power. Small changes in your environment create enormous changes in your behavior. Never underestimate that. People often ask successful individuals about secret strategies. The answer is usually disappointing. Wake up, work, practice, rest, repeat. There is nothing glamorous about consistency. It is repetitive, predictable, sometimes boring. But boring actions repeated for years create extraordinary lives. The world celebrates dramatic moments, championships, promotions, book launches, million-dollar businesses, standing ovations. Few people celebrate the thousands of ordinary mornings that created those moments. Yet those mornings matter far more. Success becomes ordinary through repetition. Repeat it. Success becomes ordinary through repetition. Again. Success becomes ordinary through repetition. Do not chase extraordinary days. Build ordinary days so well that extraordinary results become inevitable. That is a completely different way of living. Now think about your own life. What happens every morning before you even think? What habits already exist? Some are helping you. Some are quietly hurting you. Scrolling through your phone before getting out of bed is a habit. Complaining before beginning work is a habit. Avoiding difficult conversations is a habit. So is reading. So is exercising. So is planning. So is showing gratitude. Your life is not shaped by occasional decisions. It is shaped by repeated behaviors. You become what you repeat. That truth is impossible to escape. If you repeat distraction, you become distracted. If you repeat discipline, you become disciplined. If you repeat excuses, excuses become your identity. If you repeat action, action becomes your identity. Identity follows repetition, not intention. You have a choice. Repeat what weakens you, or repeat what strengthens you. The direction is yours. Many people believe they need motivation before they begin. They say, "Once I feel motivated, I'll start." But life works in the opposite direction. Action creates motivation. Think back to the last time you resisted beginning a task. You procrastinated. You delayed. You dreaded it. Then you finally started. What happened after 10 minutes? The task became easier. Momentum appeared. Energy increased. The hardest part was not doing the work. The hardest part was beginning. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Waiting creates anxiety. Action destroys it. That is why successful people stop waiting. They begin before they feel ready. They trust movement more than emotion. Move first, feel later. Repeat it. Move first. Feel later. Again. Move first. Feel later. Do not wait until you feel confident to start. Confidence grows through action. Do not wait until you feel disciplined. Discipline grows through repetition. Do not wait until conditions become perfect. Perfect conditions never arrive. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start today. Every day, create rituals that move you closer to the person you want to become. Wake up at the same time. Read a few pages. Train your body. Protect your focus. Review your goals. Finish what matters before chasing comfort. None of these actions seem extraordinary by themselves. Together, they become a life that looks extraordinary from the outside. Remember, success is rarely the result of one brilliant decision. It is the result of thousands of ordinary decisions that no longer require debate. That is the true power of systems. They remove uncertainty. They remove hesitation. They allow progress to continue when emotions disappear. And emotions always disappear. But a well-built system keeps moving, day after day, week after week, year after year, until one day people call you successful. They will admire the outcome. Only you will remember the quiet routines that built it. Chapter 6. Every time you quit, you train yourself to quit again. Every decision you make teaches your brain who you are, not who you hope to become, not who you tell other people you are, who you actually are. That is why quitting is so dangerous. The greatest cost of quitting is rarely the unfinished project. It is the identity you build every time you walk away. You have a choice. You can train yourself to persist, or you can train yourself to retreat. That's the key. Most people think identity creates behavior. There is truth in that. But behavior also creates identity. Every action becomes evidence. Every promise you keep tells your mind, I am someone who follows through. Every promise you break tells your mind, I cannot trust myself. Your brain is always collecting proof. It pays far more attention to what you repeatedly do than to what you repeatedly say. You can repeat affirmations every morning. You can tell yourself that you are disciplined. You can announce ambitious goals. None of that matters if your actions tell a different story. Actions always speak louder than intentions. Identity follows repetition. Repeat it. Identity follows repetition. Again. Identity follows repetition. Imagine two people who both decide to write a book. The first writes enthusiastically for 2 weeks. Then work becomes difficult. Life becomes busy. The excitement fades. The manuscript remains unfinished. Months later, another idea appears. Again, the excitement returns. Again, the work begins. Again, the project is abandoned. After several years, this person owns a collection of unfinished dreams. The second person writes only 500 words each day. Some days the writing feels inspired. Some days it feels terrible. It doesn't matter. The schedule remains the same. Months later, a complete manuscript exists. Was the second person more talented? Not necessarily. They simply became someone who finishes. That difference changes everything, because every completed commitment strengthens self-trust. Every abandoned commitment weakens it. Self-trust is one of the most valuable assets you can ever build. Without it, every new goal feels uncertain. You wonder whether this time will be different, whether you will quit again, whether your own promises mean anything. That quiet doubt becomes heavy. Not because other people stopped believing in you, because you stopped believing in yourself. Read that again. The greatest damage caused by quitting is not external. It is internal. Every unfinished commitment becomes another reason to question yourself. Eventually, you begin lowering your expectations. You stop setting ambitious goals, not because they are impossible, because your past behavior has convinced you that you won't finish anyway. This is how identity quietly shrinks, not through one dramatic failure, through hundreds of small acts of surrender. One skipped workout, one abandoned habit, one unfinished course, one broken promise, one excuse repeated often enough to become a personality. That is why today's decision matters so much. Today's action is never only about today. It is a vote for tomorrow's identity. You have a choice. Cast votes for weakness, or cast votes for strength. That's the key. Now, consider the difference between people who constantly abandon projects and those who consistently complete them. The first group often feels busy. Their calendars are full. Their notebooks contain brilliant ideas. Their conversations overflow with plans. Yet little is ever completed. They mistake movement for progress. Starting becomes addictive. Finishing becomes rare. The second group appears less exciting. They start fewer things, but they finish almost everything they begin. One project, completed. Another responsibility, completed. Another promise, completed. Over time, something remarkable happens. Other people begin trusting them. More importantly, they begin trusting themselves. That trust becomes confidence. Notice that word carefully. Confidence. Most people think confidence comes before action. It usually comes after action. Real confidence is not built by positive thinking. It is built by accumulated evidence. When you repeatedly prove to yourself that you keep your word, confidence becomes natural. You no longer need to convince yourself that you are capable. Your past actions have already done that. Confidence grows from completed commitments. Repeat it. Confidence grows from completed commitments. Again. Confidence grows from completed commitments. Think about someone you deeply respect. Chances are, one of the reasons you respect them is reliability. They arrive when they say they will. They finish what they promise. They remain steady when circumstances become difficult. Reliability creates trust. That principle applies inward as well. Reliability begins with self-reliability. Before becoming someone others can trust, become someone you can trust. If you tell yourself that you will wake up at 6, wake up at 6. If you promise yourself 30 minutes of study, study. If you commit to finishing today's work, finish it. Do not casually break promises made to yourself. Every broken promise teaches your mind that your own words carry no authority. Eventually, your internal voice loses credibility. Then, discipline becomes much harder, because why would your brain believe today's promise after watching you break yesterday's? Protect your word, especially the promises nobody else hears. Those promises shape your character. Many people wait until they have enormous discipline before expecting themselves to finish difficult tasks. That approach is backwards. Discipline is created by finishing small tasks first. You do not build a skyscraper before learning how to lay one brick correctly. Character works the same way. Start small. Make your bed. Answer the email. Read the chapter. Complete the workout. Wash the dishes. Organize your desk. Keep today's promise. None of these actions seem extraordinary. That is exactly why they matter. Great character is built from ordinary completions. Small completions reshape character. Every finished task tells your brain, "I finish." That message slowly becomes identity. Once identity changes, larger accomplishments become easier, because your behavior begins matching who you believe you are. Imagine a chain. Every completed action adds another strong link. Every unfinished action removes one. Eventually, the chain either becomes strong enough to carry enormous weight or weak enough to snap under pressure. Your daily decisions determine which chain you are building. Never underestimate the power of finishing something small. Many people are searching for life-changing moments. They ignore life-changing habits, closing every open task, returning every phone call, paying every bill on time, completing today's priority before chasing tomorrow's opportunity. These habits appear ordinary, but ordinary habits repeated for years create extraordinary reputations. People begin describing you differently. Dependable, disciplined, reliable. Those words are not compliments. They are descriptions of repeated behavior. Identity follows repetition. That truth never changes. You have a choice. Become someone who is known for beginning, or become someone who is known for finishing. The world has no shortage of enthusiastic starters. It desperately needs committed finishers. There will always be another exciting opportunity, another interesting idea, another fresh beginning. Do not allow every new possibility to distract you from completing your current responsibility. Sometimes the most disciplined decision is not starting something new. It is refusing to abandon what is already in your hands. That requires maturity. That requires patience. That requires self-command. Finish what you start. Repeat it. Finish what you start. Again. Finish what you start. Not because every project deserves completion. Some goals truly should change when new information appears. Some paths genuinely need correction. Wisdom knows the difference between strategic adjustment and emotional escape. But most people are not quitting because of wisdom. They are quitting because continuing has become uncomfortable. Do not confuse discomfort with direction. Stay long enough to discover what persistence can produce. Every finished task strengthens your identity. Every completed commitment deepens your confidence. Every promise kept builds another layer of trust between you and yourself. That trust becomes your foundation, and a strong foundation can carry extraordinary success. Remember this whenever quitting feels easier than continuing. You are never training for one moment. You are training for a lifetime. Every choice is practice. Practice becoming someone who finishes. Because the people who accomplish extraordinary things are rarely those with the greatest talent. They are the people who made finishing part of their identity. Chapter 7. The Compound Effect. Rewards the patient. One of the greatest reasons people quit too soon is that they misunderstand how progress actually works. They expect life to move in straight lines. Work hard today. Receive results tomorrow. Put in more effort. Get proportionally bigger rewards. That seems logical. It is also wrong. The greatest rewards in life rarely grow in straight lines. They grow through compounding. For a long time, almost nothing seems to happen. Then suddenly, everything seems to happen at once. People call it luck. They call it timing. They call it an overnight success. What they are actually witnessing is accumulated effort finally becoming visible. That is the power of compounding. You have a choice. You can become discouraged during the invisible phase, or you can stay long enough to experience the multiplication. That's the key. Imagine placing one brick on an empty piece of land every day. The first week looks insignificant. After a month, there is still very little to admire. Someone walking by might even laugh. What are you building? It doesn't look like much. Keep going. Months later, walls begin to appear, then windows, then a roof. Eventually, the same people who doubted you stand in front of a completed house. They see the finished structure. They did not see the thousands of ordinary decisions that created it. Life works the same way. Every disciplined action is another brick. One brick never changes your life. 10,000 bricks do. Small actions become massive outcomes. Repeat it. Small actions become massive outcomes. Again. Small actions become massive outcomes. The problem is that the human mind is impatient. It loves immediate rewards. It struggles to appreciate invisible accumulation. If you save $10 today, your life feels unchanged. If you read 10 pages today, your intelligence feels unchanged. If you exercise for 30 minutes today, your body appears unchanged. Because the change is too small to notice. So people stop, not realizing they have interrupted a process that was quietly transforming them. The greatest mistake is not taking one small step. The greatest mistake is believing one small step does not matter. It always matters. Because every small action connects to the next one. Momentum builds quietly. Confidence builds quietly. Skill builds quietly. Character builds quietly. Nothing remarkable happens in one day. Everything remarkable happens because of many ordinary days connected together. That's the key. Look at the world of investing. A person who invests consistently rarely becomes wealthy because of one extraordinary deposit. They become wealthy because small contributions continue month after month, year after year. At first, growth appears painfully slow. The numbers barely move. Many people become impatient. They withdraw. They spend the money. They chase something that promises faster rewards. But those who remain patient eventually experience something extraordinary. Their money begins earning money. growth begins producing more growth. The curve starts bending upward. The same effort suddenly produces much larger results. What changed? Not the person, not the discipline. The compound effect finally became visible. Life rewards patience in exactly the same way. Think about physical fitness. One workout changes almost nothing. You finish sweating. You go home. You look in the mirror. The reflection is nearly identical. A week later, only tiny improvements exist. Many people quit here. They conclude exercise is ineffective. But the body remembers every repetition, every push-up, every squat, every run, every healthy meal. Each one seems insignificant by itself. Together, they reshape an entire life. 1 year later, the transformation appears dramatic. Observers are amazed. What did you do? The answer sounds disappointingly simple. I didn't stop. That is often the entire secret. Now consider learning. A person who studies one new concept each day may feel average for months. They still forget things. They still make mistakes. They still struggle. But after several years, something remarkable happens. Their decisions become wiser. Their conversations become deeper. Their judgment becomes sharper. They solve problems more quickly. People call them intelligent. They rarely see the thousands of hours quietly invested behind that intelligence. Knowledge compounds. Experience compounds. Wisdom compounds. Every lesson connects with previous lessons. Understanding becomes easier because the foundation keeps expanding. The same principle applies to relationships. Trust compounds. One honest conversation. One promise kept. One act of kindness. One moment of reliability. None of these actions seems extraordinary. Yet over years, they create relationships capable of surviving enormous challenges. The opposite is also true. Small betrayals compound. Small lies compound. Small acts of neglect compound. Tiny choices eventually become enormous consequences. Compounding never stops. It is always working. The only question is whether it is working for you or against you. You have a choice. Invest daily in your future, or slowly invest in your regrets. That's the key. Patience creates advantages that impatient people never experience. Read that again. Patience creates advantages that impatient people never experience. Most people never reach the stage where life begins rewarding accumulated effort. They quit during the flat part of the curve, the boring part, the invisible part. They plant seeds, then abandon the garden before harvest. Imagine boiling water. For a long time, nothing seems different. The temperature rises. Still nothing. 90 degrees. No visible transformation. 95. Still waiting. 99. Still only hot water. Then 1 more degree. Everything changes. Water becomes steam. The energy was not wasted during the previous 99 degrees. Every degree mattered. The visible transformation required invisible preparation. Your life follows the same law. Never underestimate progress simply because it has not yet become obvious. Every disciplined day raises the temperature. Eventually, transformation appears inevitable. Consistency often feels boring. That is because repetition lacks excitement. There are no fireworks in reading 10 pages. No applause for saving a little money. No headlines celebrating another ordinary workout. Daily excellence is quiet, almost forgettable. But the outcomes are unforgettable. The world admires remarkable lives. It rarely admires the remarkably ordinary habits that produced them. Professional musicians practice scales. Elite athletes repeat basic movements. Successful entrepreneurs solve ordinary problems every day. Master craftsmen perform familiar tasks thousands of times. Greatness is built from ordinary repetitions performed with extraordinary consistency. That truth is easy to overlook because it is not exciting. People prefer dramatic stories, miracle breakthroughs, hidden secrets, instant success. Those stories sell. Reality is slower. Reality is steadier. Reality is far more dependable. Success rarely happens overnight. Repeat it. Success rarely happens overnight. Again, success rarely happens overnight. What appears sudden is usually the result of years of invisible accumulation, finally reaching a point where the world can no longer ignore it. Remember the bamboo tree. For years after planting, almost nothing appears above the ground. An impatient observer would assume nothing is happening. But underground, an extensive root system is expanding. Those hidden roots prepare the tree for explosive growth later. When growth finally appears, it seems astonishing. Yet the visible success was never separate from the invisible preparation. Your discipline is building roots. Every promise you keep, every page you read, every difficult conversation you choose not to avoid, every hour spent practicing when nobody is watching. You're growing beneath the surface. Trust that process. Trust accumulation. Repeat it. Trust accumulation. Again. Trust accumulation. There will be days when you wonder whether your effort matters. It does. There will be weeks when progress feels painfully slow. Keep going. There will be months when other people seem to move ahead while your own results remain quiet. Do not abandon the process. Compounding cannot be rushed, but it can be interrupted. Protect it. Every day you remain consistent, you strengthen the momentum that tomorrow depends on. The greatest tragedy is not failing. It is walking away just before accumulation begins paying extraordinary dividends. Do not become that person. Stay. Repeat. Improve. Trust the invisible work. One day, what once seemed impossibly small will become impossible to ignore, and when people ask how everything changed so quickly, you will know the truth. Nothing changed quickly. Everything changed slowly, until it changed all at once. Chapter 8. Stop needing immediate proof. One of the quietest reasons people quit too soon has nothing to do with ability. It has everything to do with certainty. People want guarantees before they commit. They want proof before they believe. They want visible evidence before they continue. But life almost never works that way. The greatest opportunities arrive wrapped in uncertainty. The most meaningful goals begin without guarantees. The biggest transformations start long before there is any evidence that they will succeed. That is why so many people stop. Not because they are incapable, because they cannot tolerate not knowing. You have a choice. You can wait until everything feels certain, or you can move forward despite uncertainty. That's the key. Think about every major decision that has ever changed a person's life. Starting a business, changing careers, writing a book, moving to a new city, beginning a relationship, learning a difficult skill. None of these decisions comes with complete certainty. No one can promise success. No one can remove every risk. No one can eliminate every unknown. If certainty were required before action, almost nothing important would ever happen. The people who build extraordinary lives understand this. They stop demanding guarantees from the future. Instead, they build trust in themselves. That changes everything. Faith comes before evidence. Repeat it. Faith comes before evidence. Again. Faith comes before evidence. Notice what this does not mean. It does not mean ignoring reality. It does not mean acting recklessly. It does not mean pretending every idea will succeed. It means accepting that uncertainty is the price of growth. There is no path toward a bigger life that does not pass through unknown territory. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense forest. You know the destination exists somewhere beyond the trees, but the path curves. You cannot see around every corner. Would you refuse to take the first step simply because you cannot see the last one? That would be absurd. Yet many people live exactly that way. They refuse to begin because they cannot predict every outcome. They postpone action while waiting for perfect clarity. Weeks become months. Months become years. Eventually, the opportunity disappears. Not because they failed, because they never truly began. Waiting for certainty is often another form of procrastination. It feels responsible. It feels intelligent. It feels safe. But beneath that appearance is fear. Fear disguised as preparation. Fear disguised as caution. Fear disguised as waiting for the right time. The right time rarely announces itself. The right time is usually created by the person willing to begin before everything feels perfect. That's the key. High achievers are not people with perfect information. They are people who know how to act with incomplete information. A business owner never knows exactly how customers will respond. An author never knows how readers will react. An athlete never knows what will happen during competition. A leader never knows every consequence of every decision. Yet they move. Not because uncertainty disappeared, because progress demanded movement. There is tremendous freedom in accepting that you will never know everything. Once you stop demanding certainty, you stop delaying your life. You begin making decisions based on principles instead of predictions. You stop asking, "Can I guarantee success?" You begin asking, "What is the next right step?" That single question is far more useful because the next step is almost always visible. The 10th step may not be. The 100th certainly isn't. But today's step usually is. Take that one, then take the next. That is how every meaningful journey is completed. One visible step at a time. Confidence grows the same way. Many people believe confidence comes before action. I'll start once I feel confident. But confidence is earned, not granted. No child feels confident riding a bicycle before the first attempt. No public speaker feels completely comfortable before the first speech. No entrepreneur feels fearless before launching a business. Confidence is built through evidence, and evidence comes from action. Every difficult conversation survived. Every presentation completed. Every problem solved. Every promise kept. Each experience whispers to your mind, "You handled that." Those whispers accumulate. Eventually, they become confidence. Confidence is memory. It is the memory of previous courage. Read that again. Confidence is memory. It remembers every challenge you refused to run from. It remembers every obstacle you survived. It remembers every difficult season you outlasted. If you avoid every uncertain situation, your confidence has nothing to remember. It remains weak because it has never been exercised. Courage works exactly the same way. People often imagine courageous individuals as fearless. They are not. They simply refuse to wait until fear disappears. Fear accompanies them. Action continues anyway. The first courageous decision feels difficult. The second feels slightly easier. The 10th begins to reshape identity. The 100th becomes character. Courage grows through repetition. Repeat it. Courage grows through repetition. Again. Courage grows through repetition. Every time you choose action over avoidance, courage becomes a little more natural. Not because fear vanished, because your identity changed. You became someone who moves despite fear. That distinction matters. The goal is not eliminating fear. The goal is refusing to obey it. You have a choice. Obey uncertainty, or obey your commitment. That's the key. Now consider how much anxiety comes from living in tomorrow instead of today. Most people exhaust themselves imagining future outcomes. What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if people judge me? Notice something. Almost every anxious thought concerns a future that does not yet exist. Very few people are overwhelmed by the work of today. They are overwhelmed by the imagination of tomorrow. The cure is surprisingly simple. Return to today's work. Today's workout. Today's chapter. Today's conversation. Today's responsibility. Today's promise. The future is created there. Not in endless speculation, not in repeated worry, not in imaginary disasters. Anxiety grows when attention leaves the present. Execution brings attention back. That is why disciplined people often appear calmer. They spend less time predicting outcomes. They spend more time producing effort. They understand something many people never learn. Results are influenced. Effort is controlled. They focus on what they can control. Everything else receives less attention. This mindset creates peace, not because uncertainty disappears, because attention is placed where it belongs. On today's work, do today's work. Repeat it. Do today's work. Again, do today's work. If today's work is reading, then read. If today's work is practicing, then practice. If today's work is apologizing, then apologize. If today's work is exercising, then exercise. Do not waste today's energy trying to solve next year's problems. Tomorrow's challenges will arrive with tomorrow's strength. Today only requires today's faithfulness. Many people underestimate how powerful one well-lived day can become. A single disciplined day seems ordinary. But one disciplined day, repeated hundreds of times, becomes an extraordinary life. That is why today's work matters so much, not because it is dramatic, because it compounds. Every completed day becomes evidence that you're trustworthy. Every completed day strengthens your confidence. Every completed day reduces tomorrow's fear. One day at a time, one promise at a time, one decision at a time. This is how remarkable lives are built. Never demand proof that your future will work out before doing what today requires. The proof comes later. Your responsibility comes now. Faith comes before evidence. Courage comes before confidence. Action comes before certainty. And success comes to those who stop waiting for guarantees they were never meant to receive. Remember this whenever doubt whispers that you should stop. You do not need to know the entire path. You only need enough courage to take today's step. Do today's work. Then tomorrow, do it again. Chapter 9. Persistence becomes your greatest competitive advantage. Most people spend their lives searching for an advantage. They search for better connections, better education, better timing, better opportunities, better luck. They assume success belongs to whoever starts with the most. But one of the greatest competitive advantages requires none of those things. It is persistence. Persistence is available to almost everyone, yet very few people choose it. That is why it becomes so valuable. You have a choice. You can compete by trying to be more talented, or you can compete by refusing to disappear. That's the key. Talent is impressive. Persistence is dependable. Talent can create opportunities. Persistence keeps those opportunities alive. Talent may help you begin faster. Persistence helps you finish stronger. History repeatedly proves this lesson. The world is filled with gifted people who never fulfilled their potential. Not because they lacked ability, because they lacked endurance. They became discouraged, distracted, comfortable, impatient. Meanwhile, people with ordinary abilities continued showing up day after day, year after year. Eventually, the gap disappeared. Then it reversed. The persistent became exceptional, not because they were born extraordinary, because they remained when others left. Read that again. Many people do not lose to stronger competitors. They lose to their own decision to quit. That is one of the greatest hidden truths of achievement. You often do not need to defeat everyone. You simply need to outlast most people. Outlast everyone. Repeat it. Outlast everyone. Again. Outlast everyone. Imagine a marathon. Thousands of runners begin with excitement. Everyone feels confident at the starting line. The energy is high. The crowd is cheering. Then the miles begin. Fatigue appears. Some runners slow down. Others stop entirely. Some convince themselves they were never meant to run. The finish line has not rejected them. They removed themselves from the race. Life often works exactly like that. Many opportunities remain available long after most people have voluntarily stepped away. Businesses become less competitive because owners quit. Careers open because others stop improving. Skills become valuable because few people are willing to master them. Markets reward those who simply remain consistent. Persistence quietly reduces competition. Every person who quits leaves more room for the people who continue. This should encourage you. You do not need to be perfect. You need to remain present. That's the key. Persistence creates opportunities that talent alone can never provide. Think about experience. The person who practices for 10 years learns lessons unavailable to someone who practices for 10 months. Not because they learned faster, because they stayed longer. Time itself becomes a teacher. Every problem solved improves judgment. Every mistake corrected sharpens skill. Every setback overcome strengthens perspective. Experience cannot be borrowed. It cannot be downloaded. It cannot be purchased. It must be lived. That requires endurance. Consider a master carpenter. A beginner may know the same tools. The master knows something more valuable. Patterns, tiny details, subtle mistakes, hidden opportunities. Those insights came from thousands of hours of continued work. The same principle applies everywhere. A seasoned entrepreneur recognizes problems before they become disasters. An experienced teacher senses confusion before students ask questions. A veteran athlete reacts instinctively because years of repetition have shaped the nervous system. Mastery appears effortless only because the difficult years are invisible. Endurance multiplies experience. Experience creates mastery. Repeat it. Endurance multiplies experience. Experience creates mastery. Again. Endurance multiplies experience. Experience creates mastery. That sequence cannot be skipped. Many people want mastery without experience. Experience without endurance. Endurance without discomfort. Life does not work that way. You earn wisdom by remaining in the process long enough to collect it. That is why quitting is so expensive. When you quit, you lose more than today's progress. You interrupt tomorrow's learning. Every additional month in the game teaches something that no book can fully explain. Every additional year deepens your understanding. Every additional challenge reveals another weakness to strengthen. Persistence compounds knowledge. Now think about the people you admire most. Perhaps it is a respected leader, a trusted mentor, a successful business owner, an accomplished artist. Notice something they often have in common. They have lasted. Their reputation was not built in one remarkable week. It was built over years of dependable behavior. People trust consistency. They trust patterns. Anyone can perform well once. Anyone can appear disciplined for a few days. But repeated excellence creates a different kind of respect. The respect that cannot be manufactured. The respect that must be earned. Reputation follows repeated reliability. Read that again. Reputation follows repeated reliability. Your reputation is not built by what you promise. It is built by what you repeatedly deliver. If you consistently arrive prepared, people notice. If you consistently keep your word, people notice. If you consistently solve problems instead of creating them, people notice. Not immediately, but inevitably. The world eventually recognizes consistency, because consistency is rare. Most people are inconsistent. They work hard when inspired. They disappear when discouraged. They are dependable during easy seasons. They become unreliable during difficult ones. Do not become one of them. Become the person whose standards do not change with circumstances. Become the person who can be counted on. Not because life is predictable, because your character is. You have a choice. Become emotionally predictable, or become character-driven. One creates temporary success. The other creates lasting influence. That's the key. Understand something else. Persistence does more than improve your skills. It changes how people respond to you. Employers trust reliable employees. Customers trust reliable businesses. Friends trust reliable companions. Families trust reliable parents. Leaders trust reliable teammates. Every area of life rewards consistency. Not because consistency is exciting, because consistency reduces uncertainty. People relax around those who repeatedly do what they say they will do. Become that person. Not for recognition, for integrity. Recognition usually follows anyway. There will be days when persistence feels invisible. Continue. There will be weeks when no one notices your effort. Continue. There will be months when someone less disciplined appears to move ahead. Continue. Comparison is temporary. Character is permanent. Never abandon permanent values because of temporary appearances. Stay in the game. Repeat it. Stay in the game. Again. Stay in the game. Every day you remain committed, you increase the odds that opportunity will eventually find you prepared. Opportunity often arrives without warning. The question is never whether opportunity exists. The question is whether you will still be there when it arrives. Many people miss life-changing opportunities for one simple reason. They quit 6 months earlier. They abandoned the business, stopped training, closed the book, left the relationship, gave up on the dream. Opportunity knocked. No one answered. Do not let that become your story. Persistence is more than surviving difficult days. It is positioning yourself for future possibilities. Every extra day you continue creates another chance, another lesson, another connection, another improvement, another opportunity. That is why staying matters. Not every day will produce visible rewards, but every day you remain in the game keeps the door open for tomorrow. Remember this: talent may open the first door. Persistence keeps opening the rest. The world remembers people who lasted, not because they never struggled, because they refused to let struggle become their ending. Become known for showing up. Become known for finishing. Become known for reliability. Become known as the person who quietly keeps moving while others are constantly restarting. That reputation becomes an advantage that no one can take from you, because it is built into your character. Outlast everyone. Stay in the game. One day, The very persistence that once seemed ordinary will become the reason people call your success extraordinary. Chapter 10. Become the person who never quits. Too soon. Everything you have heard in this audiobook leads to one final truth. This book was never really about persistence. It was never simply about discipline. It was never only about motivation, habits, consistency, or resilience. Those were the tools. The real goal was transformation. The real goal was identity, because the person you become will always determine the life you create. You have a choice. You can spend your life chasing temporary results, or you can become the kind of person for whom success becomes inevitable. That's the key. Most people ask the wrong question. How long will this take? When will I finally succeed? When will people notice? When will life become easier? Those questions seem reasonable, but they quietly place all attention on outcomes. Outcomes are important. They are not the foundation. The foundation is identity. The better question is this: who am I becoming? That question changes everything. Instead of counting the days until success, you begin counting the ways you're becoming stronger. Instead of measuring external rewards, you measure internal growth. Instead of chasing applause, you pursue character, because character remains long after applause fades. Read that again. Success can be lost. Character stays. Money can disappear. Character remains. Recognition comes and goes. Character continues producing value. That is why your greatest investment is never a business, never a career, never a title. It is the person you are becoming every single day. Persistence is my identity. Repeat it. Persistence is my identity. Again. Persistence is my identity. Notice the difference between saying, "I am trying to become persistent," and saying, "Persistence is who I am." The first sentence depends on circumstances. The second creates them. Identity changes behavior. When persistence becomes part of who you are, quitting begins to feel unnatural. You no longer ask whether you feel like continuing. You continue because stopping would violate your identity. That is the highest level of discipline. Not forcing yourself to act. Acting because that is simply who you are. Think back to everything you have learned. Invisible progress. Slow growth. Emotional discipline. Endurance through difficult seasons. Systems instead of motivation. Finishing what you start. The compound effect. Faith before evidence. Staying in the game. None of these lessons stand alone. Together, they create a person. A person who cannot easily be shaken. A person who does not panic when progress slows. A person who does not surrender because emotions become uncomfortable. A person who understands that difficult seasons are temporary, but character is permanent. That person is your future. You build that future one decision at a time. Many people imagine quitting as one dramatic event. They picture someone suddenly walking away from a dream. In reality, quitting usually begins much earlier. It begins in the mind. It begins with tiny compromises. I'll skip today. I'll start again next week. One excuse won't matter. I'm too tired. It isn't making a difference. Each thought seems harmless. Each decision appears small. But repeated often enough, they create a habit of surrender. Quitting rarely happens all at once. It happens one excuse at a time. One delayed decision at a time. One broken promise at a time. That is why persistence must also be practiced one decision at a time. Every morning you get up instead of staying in bed. Every workout you complete despite low energy. Every difficult conversation you refuse to avoid. Every chapter you finish. Every promise you keep. You're strengthening a pattern. You're telling yourself, "This is who I am." Character is not built during one heroic moment. Character grows through repeated endurance. Repeat it. Character grows through repeated endurance. Again. Character grows through repeated endurance. Imagine a rope. A single thread breaks easily. Add another thread, then another, then another. Eventually, thousands of threads become strong enough to carry enormous weight. Your character develops the same way. Each difficult day overcome becomes another thread. Each disappointment survived becomes another thread. Each temptation resisted becomes another thread. One challenge alone may seem insignificant. Thousands of them woven together become unbreakable strength. Never underestimate today's struggle. It may be adding another thread your future will depend on. Many people ask how mentally strong individuals remain calm under pressure. The answer is simple. Pressure is no longer unfamiliar. They have carried it before, again and again. Every challenge expanded their capacity. What once overwhelmed them now feels manageable. Not because life became easier, because they became stronger. This is how resilience is built, not in comfort, in repetition. The world often celebrates talent, but life rewards endurance. The world applauds beginnings. Life rewards completion. The world admires confidence. Life rewards commitment. Commitment quietly outlasts confidence. Commitment continues when excitement disappears. Commitment remains when nobody is watching. Become committed, not temporarily, permanently. You have a choice. Become someone who depends on perfect conditions, or become someone who creates progress under imperfect conditions. That's the key. Now imagine two people standing side by side. Both are intelligent. Both are capable. Both begin with the same opportunity. 10 years later, one has built an extraordinary life. The other is still talking about potential. What separated them? Usually not intelligence. Usually not luck. Usually not education. One person simply stayed. They continued through uncertainty. They continued through boredom. They continued through criticism. They continued through disappointment. While others kept restarting, they kept building. Never underestimate the power of remaining. Every year you remain committed while others quit, your advantage quietly expands. The race becomes less crowded. The competition becomes smaller. Opportunities become larger. Not because life became fairer, because fewer people were willing to stay. Become the person who stays when others leave. Repeat it. Become the person who stays when others leave. Again, become the person who stays when others leave. Stay when the work becomes repetitive. Stay when recognition disappears. Stay when emotions fluctuate. Stay when doubt becomes loud. Stay when the outcome remains uncertain. Stay because your identity demands it. One day, people will ask how you became so resilient. They will assume you possessed unusual talent. They will imagine you discovered some secret. But you will know the truth. You simply refused to leave. You refused to surrender your future to temporary emotions. You refused to confuse slow progress with failure. You refused to abandon invisible growth. You refused to interrupt the compound effect. You refused to let one difficult season define an entire life. That decision, repeated thousands of times, became your greatest strength. Remember what this audiobook has been teaching from the very beginning. Success is rarely one giant decision. Failure is rarely one giant mistake. Both are built from ordinary choices. One ordinary choice after another. Every sunrise asks the same question. Will you continue? Every setback asks the same question. Will you continue? Every disappointment asks the same question. Will you continue? Your answer becomes your identity. And your identity becomes your destiny. There will still be difficult mornings. There will still be setbacks. There will still be uncertainty. Persistence does not eliminate hardship. It changes how you respond to hardship. You stop seeing obstacles as signals to quit. You begin seeing them as invitations to become stronger. That mindset cannot be taken from you. No recession can steal it. No rejection can erase it. No criticism can weaken it. Because it no longer depends on circumstances. It depends on character. And character belongs to you. As this journey comes to an end, make one final decision. Stop introducing yourself to the world by your fears. Stop defining yourself by your past failures. Stop measuring yourself by yesterday's mistakes. Become the person whose greatest habit is continuing. Become the person who quietly does the work after everyone else has become distracted. Become the person who trusts the process when results remain invisible. Become the person who keeps promises made in private. Become the person who finishes. Become the person who stays. Because success does not belong to the fastest. It does not always belong to the smartest. It belongs surprisingly often to the people who simply remain. Persistence is my identity. Repeat it. Persistence is my identity. Again, persistence is my identity. And now, let these final words become your declaration, not just for today, but for every challenge that lies ahead. When progress is slow, I do not quit too soon. When doubt becomes loud, I do not quit too soon. When the work feels invisible, I do not quit too soon. When others walk away, I do not quit too soon. When fear whispers that nothing is changing, I do not quit too soon. When success seems farther away than ever, I do not quit too soon. Because persistence is no longer something you practice. It is who you are. And the person who refuses to quit too soon eventually reaches places that those who surrendered will never see. You now understand something that most people never will. Success is rarely reserved for the smartest. It is rarely reserved for the most talented. More often than not, it belongs to the people who simply stayed when everyone else walked away. Every difficult morning, every rejection, every invisible day of progress, every moment you wanted to quit but chose one more step instead. That is where your future is built. Stop expecting immediate rewards. Stop measuring your life by today's results. Measure it by today's discipline. Remember this whenever life becomes difficult. Most people quit too soon. You won't. You will stay one more day. You will make one more attempt. You will finish one more task. Because persistence is no longer something you practice. Persistence is who you are. Now close this audiobook. Choose the goal you've been avoiding and prove, with your actions, not your words, that this time you will not quit too soon.